And just to ease us into that story, let's take a look at this report that was prepared since the government announced plans to evict people. It says have encroached the Mau forest land. A section of leaders from South have appealed for the exercise to be suspended, claiming it is inhumane and it should not be carried out. Take a look.
Tobiko acting as Minister for Environment in this, his voodoo conservation experiment. Absolutely no. If he is, I challenge CS Tobiko to table the cabinet approvals, including copies of cabinet minutes where this Mau issue has been canvassed in cabinet, and cabinet reach a decision that it is proper for these people to be brutally kicked and left in the cold.
We are leaders, and the people who are living in Mau are human beings. Wale watoto ambao wanaenda shule katika sehemu ya Mau ni watoto kama watoto wa Tobiko. Na yeye atajaribu kutufurusha, sisi tunamwambia Mau atuondoki leo, hatukuondoka jana, na hatutawahi toka sehemu ya Mau. Afikirie vingine.
We do not expect any unilateral activity, but we also want to urge our members of parliament to avoid inflammatory statements, to avoid name calling, to avoid building up a situation in which it will look like it's one community versus another community.
Now, that particular eviction is getting 60,000 people, and if you're talking about learners, schools are opening today. 4,600 learners might be affected because there has been an order not to open those schools that are within that particular lunch that is being at the center of this particular scandal. But of course, some have insisted that learning will go on. And continuing with the discussion, we have Ambrose Sweder, who's a lawyer. We have Michael Agwanda, governance expert, as well as Dr. Nashon Moitalel, a governance expert. Gents, what do you feel about this impending eviction? I'll start with you, Mr. Weda.
I see madness, sickness, leadership that seems to have lost direction. And for instance, we are talking about how many pupils not going to school?
4,600.
What is so difficult in then evicting them in December? When they have finished this class, those who are in class 3 are going to class 4, those who are in class 5, then you tell them now next year there will be no school.
Yes.
What is so difficult? What is so urgent in the remaining 2 months? The school now is about just 2 months.
Right.
Secondly, we have 60,000 human beings, people of Kenya, born and bred in this country. They didn't spring from heaven or from Jupiter. They are our people. When they were getting into this land and you want to get them out, what is so difficult in finding alternatives for them? Why must we behave like we have smoked something green and therefore we are in a hurry and it will get out of our heads before we evict them? I seriously think that this madness, what we saw in the Mau eviction 1 should not be repeated in the Mau eviction 2. The lessons we learned should be able to teach us so that as we move forward, we systematically remove people. There are people who are land investors. You see how to deal with them. There are people who genuinely do not have alternatives. There's a way you deal with them. There are institutions which are there. There's a way you transfer them. This is the kind of government that I would like to see my president Uhuru lead and my deputy president. But if they are going to do it like they did it in the past, that is not proper for a Kenya that we want to build. Therefore, the eviction in Mau should be relooked at properly. I really don't know whether it is Mau. And then let there be fairness. What do I talk about fairness? Some people took it and they built very nice, beautiful tea estates.
Yes.
And they know them. And the President Kebaki would say, wanajijua tu. So they know them and we know them and they are known. Why can't we start with them or we fear them?
Obviously, there's a level of impunity when it comes to matters of land in this country. Mr. Agwanda, what do you feel about this one?
One thing I want to say, Trixie, is I agree with the people who are calling for an humane manner on evicting these people out of the water tower.
Yeah.
I am also aware that Mau issue is so political. And lastly, I am aware that indeed it is interfering with the lakes that it's been, the rivers that it's been supplying water to. So 3 fundamental issues. Number 1 is, let me start from the political point of view. We know for a fact that the politicians have been using this as a bait to either vote for a presidential candidate or not vote for a presidential candidate. We are also aware that the politicians themselves have benefited from the land in Mau. And we are also aware that this is not the first time the eviction has been, the whistle of eviction has been blown.
Yeah.
This is actually the 3rd time that it's taking place. 2005 it happened. We had issues in 2009, and now we have this one of 2018. As you can see, it is something that did not begin today.
No.
It's something that has been dragging for several years. Now, the fundamental question that we want to ask ourselves is it genuine that these people need to move out of the Mau?
Right.
Yes, they need to save our environment and also to save our rivers, and including River Mara that are now drying up. And not just River Mara, to an extent where some rivers are going up to Lake Victoria that is being supplied by that very, very water catchment tower. Now, when it comes to the people that are living here, these are human beings.
Yes.
They are over 60 to 100. In fact, the estimation is about 100,000 people living there. The 60,000 that they're talking about is perhaps not even counting the kids. Now, for 100,000 to live on Mau, there was a strategic plan for them to be there.
Right.
Some of them are alleging that they bought the land. Yes, if they bought the land from whom? And if they bought the land from those very individuals, from whom did those individuals buy the land? Those are fundamental questions. And what was the government doing when the land was being purchased to an extent where now it's been transferred to the 4th and 5th buyers? We need to have people move out of Mau. However, I agree with Mr. Weda. For the schools, the kids are going to do class 8. We know that they're preparing for the exams. I had a CS Tobiko say those schools, the regional commissioner of Nakuru saying those schools are not even registered by the government. I want to doubt that. I want to absolutely doubt that. Those schools have been there and they've been built by the government and they're registered by the government. And for that reason, Natambaya should not say that the schools are not registered by the government.
Yeah,
they are registered.
15 schools. I mean,
There are 15
how
schools.
in this country would you have 15 schools running?
I strongly believe that they need to be allowed to do the exams and then they can be evicted. This can be done. However, the politicians should stop making statements like Bergut MP Nelson Koech saying we will hatutatoka, na hatujatoka jana, na hatutatoka kesho. No, that's a little rude if we know for a fact that we are having an environment that we need to conserve.
I mean, one would say that he's speaking for the people, and because he's saying that because he feels it's inhumane and not good and discriminatory, actually, the way these people are possibly going to be handled. Dr. Emmett Ella, what's your take?
And I think now the situation where the Mau is needs the president to really speak out. Because for sure, these people, there was a willing buyer and a willing seller.
Yeah.
If you check on the population at the Masai Mau, the people who actually inhabit there, the Kipsigis, the Okik, some of the Maasais and a few Kisis, these people didn't just, there is a forest. And they didn't just wake up and say that we are encroaching this forest. There was a process. They were told that this land is being sold as part of the ranches, and this land has a title. And if you buy, the position will change. So these people went to the registry, land registry, and they checked, and the records show that this land can change possession from this person to the other one. There was a willing buyer, willing seller. So you'll find people there at Mau having titles.
Yeah.
You'll find people there having allotment letters, and you'll find people there having sale agreements. Now, all that is procedural in acquiring, in acquisition of land. Now, These people have been there for more than 15 years, because those are the ranches which were adjudicated later under the group ranches. But me, I was born and bred in Narok County, and for sure those people came under the supervision of or under the authority from someone working at the lands. So when we are told by the cabinet secretary that go and find that person who sold you the land and write a statement at the police station, they'll be arrested. But now the point is, the people there won't understand, because there are a lot of cries on the ground. I was there yesterday.
Yeah.
I find people asking, we have been here, we have been attending schools, there is a clinic, a dispensary, and the schools there, the primary school, have TSC registered teachers, but unfortunately, behind their backs, those schools are being deregistered as we speak now.
Okay.
So that the moment someone comes and says that there are schools there, and then you will be told those schools are not registered.
Because that would be grounds for protecting that environment because of the social amenities that the populations actually depend on. Now, you have raised something that I was actually thinking about, the silence from the executive. This is a very huge matter, but we have had radio silence from both the deputy president and the president. And one of our dailies was trying to insinuate that this is indicative of the rift and between the two. That's neither here nor there. But of course, it is quite loud, that silence. Mr. Weda, what do you feel about that?
I think when a cabinet secretary speaks, he speaks on whose behalf?
The president.
Unless people must speak directly.
Yeah.
From when you hear my brother and senior colleague Tobiko speaking, unless the president says or wants him not to speak, he's speaking on behalf of the president,
right,
and on behalf of the cabinet, and on behalf of the executive. So their position is that the register schools ensure class 8 people don't sit, forget about the titles that were issued by government, and if you don't like, go to hell. That's exactly what they're saying. Now, if they're saying something different, then they would come out. I know the deputy president is under siege. Therefore, he speaks, he's down. He keeps quiet, he's down. Yeah. He's between a rock and a hard place. The devil and the deep blue sea. So he needs prayers. Now, on the other hand, the minister is a Maasai. Okay? Yeah. And the many victims, the ones they are talking about, are calling it. Yeah. It is a duel. And there's no compassion in the heart of the minister and in the heart of those who are in Mao. That is why we come in to say, look, let's look at these people as Kenyans. So let's not be technical. Yeah, when sentiments come out that the CS is playing political experiments, do you agree with that? I think the CS is being a typical conservator. He wants to prove himself. We want to do this, and then there are politics behind it. I think there are politics behind it. Right. Some people may be trying to demonstrate to the deputy president, you are helpless. You're going to do it, and you are helpless. There's nothing you can do. Exactly. On the other hand, these people are also saying, you kill us here. Yeah. And we're waiting. I would tell those who, if they target the deputy president, yes, you know that they are giving him a lot of sympathy. That will make him very difficult to defeat. But as leaders, as people of Kenya, I request that they view these people just as human beings, just as fellow Kenyans who have found themselves in a situation, a difficult situation. They're living there. It happens to be part of the forest, and therefore, how do we deal with it? We don't deal with it by privately registering schools, by telling them, go to whoever sold to you, report to the police, do this. You look at workable solution. As you also go and demolish, repossess some factories. There are some beautiful tea factories right inside the forest, and they know the owners. If they fear them, then the ministers will say, this one I fear, this one we cover. And you tell us in whose blood you are covering this one as you evict small people. Thirdly, they should also go to Egypt and Sudan. They are beneficiaries of the Mao through River Nile. Yes. They contribute, they bring money. Yeah, so that we use to conserve the forest. Part of the money we compensate these people,
Yeah.
we pay them, we give them alternative land, then we use it to plant. Otherwise, you can't just make our people suffer here.
Right.
And the water is used in Egypt, it is used in Sudan, and we are here to be called. You should therefore know that it is an international issue
Yes.
that requires an international approach, not killing small children who are about to sit exams.
For exams.
That God will not forgive you for hurting his small children
Yeah.
who are innocent.
In the whole matter, they're literally, in Swahili you say fali wawili wakipigana nyasi ndio humia. Now, Mr. Gwanda, the radio silence from the executive and the alleged political experiments being placed on the CS. Do you think, what's your take on that?
Oh, I'll tell you something you'll not believe. The silence is because the government does not have money to compensate those people. That's the silence. And I can tell you for free that if the government had the money, we would be hearing about 100 billion that will be given to those people. Remember that in the first eviction, there was a lot of money, isn't it?
Yes.
That was given and dished out, and people got rich. And do you know, a big chunk of these people that were getting rich were not even actually the beneficiaries. They were the government officers. They were the big guys who said, I have 1,000 acres, so I need my money. If you saw what Citizen TV gave yesterday, and it was a comparative statistics of the numbers of acreage of individuals that are claiming to be owners of the Maus, that very section that they're being evicted from. In the last 5 years, somebody had 100 acres. Now they have 900 acres suddenly. Now, in the last 5 years, somebody had 5,000 acres. Now they have 9,000 acres. You know, in the last 5 years, somebody had maybe 200 acres. If you look at those figures, I looked at them and I said, whoa, this is so smart. I should have had land here. Why do you think these numbers are changing, Trixie?
Yeah.
It's because they knew, money was compensated, and there was a lot of money that came into this place. So what we need to do is just inflate what we have in our titles, and if they say those titles are not genuine, I want to believe so. You can't move from 5,000 to 9,000 acres suddenly. And so he knows that the government will have money. Phase 2, Deputy President is in power. They will bring all this money here, and if I have 9,000, they will compensate me for 9,000 acres.
Yeah.
Man, I will be laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
I am happy. That money is not there now, and therefore some of these people might not be compensated on the inflated, the title deeds numbers that they're having there. I strongly believe that this has also been a conduit of siphoning money from the government. Look at post-election violence. How many people benefited? I can tell you, the people in Nyanza and Kisii, really, majority of them never benefited. And so some of these things are also biasly designed to just enrich some few people. We also know that even money that was given to Nakuru just a few years ago, that was supposed to help people that did not have food, that money ended up in people's pockets. You remember that?
Yeah.
And you also know that even part of this money that was supposed to help the Mau eviction, the first one, there were complaints that we never got the money.
Yeah.
We really never got the money. And so when you look at the history of the Mau, it is a place where people are siphoning money. And any opportunity in this country for money to get out that it cannot be accounted for, people want to cash in it. And therefore, I really think that these people need to be evicted for you to know the real owners of the Mau, compensate them later on, but not now, because it will be a vicious circle. You remove the money, that money never ends there, and people will say, I stay put until I get the money, and it will be another 5 years. This is the time when we are talking about politics of this country. This is the time where the Jubilee government must do it, and they must do it once and for all. There will be no threat of we are not going to give you votes, because Uhuru is going home. And so Uhuru needs to do it so that the Mau issue is done and dealt with forever.
And just to point out, only 722 people are said to have title deeds of all the people that are occupying that space. Dr. Moitalel, the radio silence and political machinations that are being alleged to be going on behind the scenes, what's your take?
Again, I like to address the president again. In 2004, 2003, President Uhuru Kenyatta came to a place called Sogo in Narok South, which is like a few kilometers to the Mau settlement. And he gave 100,000 as his contribution to the IDPs who had been evicted. Now, again, he ordered that the schools or all the people who are there to be an amicable solution for them to be resettled. I now don't know what has changed. Now, again, my appeal to the executive is, let's avoid the hard line stand where you say you have to go, and there is no negotiation, you have to go. We need the humane side of the humane face of the government, because as at yesterday, I came from the same place. Yesterday, there were more than 15 lorries from the Kenya Forest Services to prevent the teachers and the students from reopening the schools.
Yes.
So as we speak now, there are the police on the ground. A place called Sierra Leone, somewhere in Olmegenyo, and somewhere in Olulunga ward. Now, when I was talking to the area MC, I was asking him, now, what is the solution to this? Because he was just saying, let's appeal, that is Honorable Jefferson, let's appeal to the government to have the humane face so that these students do their KCP, and in part of the registering these schools, let the executive actually come down here and talk to the people. Tell them now, this is what happened. The Masai Mau Trust land, this is what happened, and we have found that we gave you the titles wrongly or through the wrong way.
Is that really going to happen?
They need to do that.
Yeah, but as Mr. Agwanda claims, there's no money for compensation. So what will the government be telling them?
Not actually compensation first. Let's agree that something happened. That there was wrongful. You have the title and you're in the land. But now we have realized that we need to cancel these titles. But as we do this, where will you people go? Do you have a place to go, or are you going to the tents? Let me tell you, something that is actually hurting me is that the police or the security apparatus at the county have been told not to allow these people to have tented camps. Chase them away, regardless of where they are going. But now, I need now for the president now to tell us, these are the people who you lead. What can we do with these people? Can we talk to the international, or those people we talk of the Nile and what? So that, because the narrative that is there is that these people, the Kipsigis there, are bad people with the environment. They include the environment. But in reality, we need to tell them these people actually bought the land. Now, what do we do to humanly take them out of this place, compensate them, and that is it. Actually, the least, as a means of last resort, let's compensate these people. And the narrative that is there that they want to make the president, the deputy president, look bad at the eyes of the people living there. Because I talked to one of the spokesperson of the evictees, Bwana Sang, and he was telling me that, does the deputy president know that we are really suffering? I told them, maybe there is a narrative which is actually obvious, trying to make the deputy president look so bad that he is in the government, just the way like the Right Honorable Raila Odinga was there during the Nsumkate government, and he didn't help the Kalenjins there, and politically he was banned. Now, are they trying to make the deputy president look bad at the eyes of the people there who are now IDPs in their own country? They bought the land. But now, as conservative, me, I'm a conservative. I would like the forest to be conserved as a resident of Narok County. But now, let's do it with avoidance of these hard stance where they tell people those titles are papers. Imagine being told that they are papers, you have to go, or we'll just evict you. People coming with guns to evict children who are less than 5 years.
And I mean, they probably used to follow due process. But then when the politicians we heard earlier on, Kericho Senator Aaron Cheriot and his counterpart MP Nelson Koech were insisting that there is the land that should be conserved, and then there's the trust land where they're supposed to be. How did it all get mixed up, in your opinion, Dr.
Now, there is the trust land, which is owned by the Narok County government. And then now there is a forest which is gazetted, being owned by the national government. Now, the county government, through the previous Narok County Council, gave out this land to the members of the public. with a due process where it was minuted, everything was there. There was a due process where they are now said, they say this land should be given to the members of the public. But now, the process is now being doubted that it was it didn't follow the right way, which we agree. If this is a catchment that everybody depends on, whether in this country or any other places, we have, if need be, if due process followed and these people are taken care of, these people can move through an organized manner, and then the process of compensation can come in, which most of the leaders are saying, we won't compensate you, you just go, just go, just go.
Right,
Yeah.
which is pretty unfortunate. But then as we're taking a look at this, there's also the issue of these families, and in case they are actually evicted, what could be the political implications? And you also have to keep in mind that this is an active matter in court. Mr. Weda, how does that play into the whole picture?
Well, I think if they are evicted, you have seen the way their leaders are yapping. We never moved, we didn't move, we were blah, 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 blah. These are people they elect.
Yeah.
I've always said pain is the seed for change. They will feel the pain because they elect all characters,
Yes.
all sorts. If these people are able to call press conferences and then they do their saloon and they talk, why are they not discussing it in the National Assembly or in the Senate? That's where they should be saying, this is a matter of national importance, let's debate it, let's have a resolution. They are not doing that. They're just walking the streets as they eat maize, and then they say we are dealing with it. What are they doing? Playing with the emotions of the victims.
Yeah.
You saw me on TV. You saw the way I was tough, but it doesn't provide a solution.
Yeah.
If you had a good leader, he will be talking about solutions. What solutions? Resettlement. Children who are going to do class 8, let them do their exams. When they finish, where do they go? Therefore, the political implications are when they have been evicted.
Yeah.
Somebody will pick it up. Maybe the deputy president will one day pick it up and say, now, you see, I was banded out of government. Now, when I take power, I will restore you people. Then they vote for them. and these other people are against us, so punish them. That is because, you know, the people have always said here, they're like a bag of potatoes. The way you carry them, they vote on the basis of tribe, they vote on the basis of party, they vote on the basis of bribe.
Yes.
They do not vote on the basis of sound decisions that are made.
Yeah.
That is why you never hear anybody asking, these other big chunks of land that are being under T and under commercial use in Mau, why are we not talking about them?
Right.
Because they know. Therefore, if they accept to be bandied out the way they are done, we will forget their cases.
Right.
But if they are serious, they should call upon their leaders to engage the president, engage the deputy president, engage parliament, engage Senate,
Yes.
engage the National Assembly, engage the county assemblies, so that a lasting solution is found. When a government minister stands and says a title deed is a piece of paper, he's calling for chaos.
Yes.
And some of these children that are being tossed around, it is being imprinted in their minds.
Right.
And we end up with people who either want to fight or people who say,
Very
when I
bitter.
grow up, I will grab as much land, we will never have issues
Like
with
this.
land. Otherwise, I root for resettlement, especially for the vulnerable families. People who have 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres. People who have 1,000 acres, you can give you 1 acre if you really need it. But 1 acre, 2 acres, 3 acres,
Yeah.
there's so much land in this country. Mr. President, please come. These are your children and they are looking to you. They are now not looking at the MPs, the deputy president, the who. They are looking to you. Please come in and deal with it.
Mr. Gwanda, what do you think about the political implications of this eviction if it actually goes through?
Very good question. When the DP was opposed to the former Prime Minister, he said, don't move. Don't move out of Mau. Do not move, and it will not happen. And it costed the former minister. People say, I don't think that's what costed him not to be the president.
Yeah.
But people tend to think that that was one
Had
of
an
the
effect.
reasons. I think you cannot bake your own cake and eat it. Today, the deputy president is the one in power. Not in power, but is the deputy president of this country, and he has all the powers that he can. I was surprised when the courageous Senator Aaron Cheriot said the deputy president needs to speak about this matter, and so is the president.
Yeah.
And I wondered, because the last I checked, Aaron Cheriot belongs to the Kutangatanga group. I don't know why he's coming to the press and telling the deputy president on what he needs to say, and yet they hang out with the deputy president.
Yeah.
Why can't he tell him in private so that the deputy president have to speak without him repeating it for the public
press.
to hear?
Yeah.
That tells you is a disconnect.
Yeah,
The disconnect of reality, when politicians become so you know, you cannot be trusted with what they say. They say today because they want votes, and tomorrow they say something else because they want votes. I think it's catching up with our politicians. That if you say don't move, and today I'm being moved by you who's sitting in the office, what am I trying to tell you?
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you that I'm a real liar, and I will lie when I want it, and I will lie when I want to get it, and I will lie again. And so it's caught the deputy president in a very, very awkward position.
Right.
An awkward position, as Weda said, when C.S. Tobiko speaks, he's not speaking on his own behalf. He's consulted the president. He's consulted the cabinet, I strongly believe. Aaron Cheriot should know better. He can't say, I need a cabinet paper for this. I want to see it. No. As Weda said, let him fight that war in Parliament, in the Senate, but not in the public gallery, because it's not helping. He knows that Tobiko is speaking on the behalf of the government. And if he says, we are moving, such huge masses of people cannot be moved without the consent of the president. And for that reason, I strongly believe that the president and the deputy president are in agreement that these people have to move out of Mau. And for that reason, let's move these people out of the Mau, because there seems to be a political goodwill from the president and the deputy president, and everybody else is making noise. And therefore, the Mau people, I'm telling you, don't waste time there. Move out. Your MPs will not help you in this case, because the big bosses have said you're moving out.
And as you said,
I say this, again, when we're talking about the issue of Kipsigis and the Ma community in this thing, we know that any contentious issues in this country, whether it is to the benefit of our children and our children's children, whether you talk about corruption and it's another community that was doing it more than the other community, they'll bring tribal inclination into it.
Everything.
This must stop. We all know, and scientists have told us, that if we deplete our forests, our rivers will run dry. To that extent, no compromise.
It's
whether
pretty
it is
much
a
black and white,
Kipsigis, whether it is a Ma, or whether it is a Kisi, these guys need to be out of the Mau.
Absolutely. Now, I guess it boils down to how they should be ejected from, how it should be done. As we conclude, Dr. Montellel, briefly.
So what really I want to see or to hear the president actually, where the action should come from, is, as Senator Aaron Cheriot has said about the cabinet decision. Because most of the decision to preserve the forest or to do eviction or to do resettlement come from the cabinet. I'm just praying to the president. In that cabinet, that cabinet decision, kindly add the word the eviction should be done humanely, the compensation should be there, and also add a clause for resettlement, because these are the small fish. And remember, I can really quote the former Prime Minister talking of the Mbutas and the Omenas. If we really want to make an impact in humanity, let's take care of these Omenas. Because in their heart, they know that this place is actually a catchment area. But now we were given the due process. How now will we get out of this? Because this is a place where they are buried there, they are dead. They have done everything, they've
settled, basically.
They have settled there. And again, the problem about this is that, as my colleague is saying, that the Aaron Cheriot should actually talk to the DP, since they are in the same camp. But unfortunately, there are forces that are really trying to make the DP look bad. Because I remember the DP, during the burial of one of the paramount chiefs, Lokorieta, in a place called Olunga in Narok County, he talked of conservation of the forest. And he said that those people who have gone beyond the cut line, there was a cut line that there was a strip of tea plantation.
Yes.
That if you have gone past this, you should be relocated. You should get out of that place. No compensation, no nothing, because that is actually where there were no title in the first place. But now these people who are behind the cut line, who had some documentation from a sale agreement, allotment letter to the titles, these people should be humanely taken care of, so that at the end of the day, this exercise will actually have the face of humanity. Because as we speak now, there were lawyers on the ground who filed a case at the ICC because it is about forceful transfer of a population.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we don't want to go that direction, because even me, I don't want to
Be
ask
very
whether there is a
acrimonious.
case at the ICC or what. Let's sort our matters at home once and for all.
Absolutely. And of course, today, basically, the focus will be on those 15 schools as schools open, and truckloads, as has been